All right, let's get started. Hello, let's get started. So, uh, this is going to be Kanye part two. I already did a segment on him with Dr. Richie, but I saw this today, and I said, and I'm still seeing people trying to defend this clown, and I, I just don't, I just don't get it because, like, you know, he yeah, he's talented. He's an idiot savant. He's talented. He's not a genius. He's an idiot savant. And you need to look that up if you don't know what that means. He's a clown. Okay, he's rich. That just makes him a rich clown. He is You need to see this segment and watch it all the way through and listen to I've been watching TYT for a while and all their segments, and this girl Anna, the girl that's hosting this segment, and Wozni, the dude that's commenting on it too, are both very intelligent people and are very knowledgeable about politics and what's going on in this world. And you have to watch this segment all the way through because even Tucker Carlson, and he's a clown too, knew not to play all this shit that he said because he sounds really effing crazy. And at this point, anybody trying to defend this guy is like you're pushing a boulder up a mountain. Like, why? What are you doing? Like, it doesn't make no sense. And while we're being distracted by this clown, because that's what clowns are supposed to do. They're supposed to distract you, and that's what this clown is doing. The Supreme Court is trying to take away your rights, all your rights. That's what the overturn of Roe v. Wade was about. It's about taking away your rights, and more rights are being taken away every day. You no longer have Miranda. Miranda's been overturned. That means the cops don't have to inform you of your rights anymore and can violate you. It makes it easier for them to violate you. And then they're talking about stopping, making it illegal to film police. And that's really going to, once that happens, everything's really going to go downhill. You think you Negroes been murdered and violated the streets? Watch when you're not being filmed. Watch what they do now, because even now, while they are being able to be filmed, they're still violating your rights. They don't give a damn because of qualified immunity. They know most of the time they're going to get away with it. And for this clown to say, slavery was a choice, and I had somebody else try to talk about choice, like when your choice, when your options, a choice, you only have choice if you have options. And when you have no options, then you really have no choice. And I don't understand why people don't understand that, like, especially when it comes to black folks in this country, we don't have a whole lot of choices. We don't really have any choices. Like, things are set up for us, and then we don't even know it. And they've been set up for years for us to fail. And most of the time, it takes an extraordinary amount of courage and fortitude and a lot of luck to get somewhere in this country, especially for black folks. We have to be twice as good, twice as fast, twice as smart to attain any kind of status or wealth in this country. And like I said, for a lot of us, it's just a matter of a roll of the dice. We don't really have no choice in the matter. Because do you really think that people choose to be poor? Do you think that if everybody couldn't be rich, they would choose to be rich? So please miss me with that choice bullshit. Like we don't have a whole lot of choices in this country, and a lot of our choices amount to no choice, to really no choice at all. So with that being said, please watch this video and watch the entire thing, because this is buffoonery, coonery at its finest.
Was biting my tongue on my political opinion because I thought it would be better for my children. And now you look up and my kids are going to a school that teaches black kids a complicated Kwanzaa. I prefer my kids knew Hanukkah than Kwanzaa. At least it will come with some financial engineering.
You just watched a portion of Kanye West's interview with Tucker Carlson that never aired, that Fox News decided to edit out of the final product, and somehow Motherboard over at Vice News was able to obtain that footage along with a lot more footage that we're about to show you. But before we get to that stuff, I'm just gonna go to you immediately, Waz. Like, what is going on?
Kanye is off his meds. There's no other way to put it, right?
Do other people struggling with bipolar disorder immediately say insane anti-Semitic things?
No, I just think Kanye, because he's able to generate money for people still mess with him. Like other people that might say some messed up things, they just would not be afforded the opportunity to go talk to Tucker Carlson or go to CNBC and talk about how they're gonna tank somebody's stock or whatever. It's just that this guy, one, he commands a lot of attention, and two, like I said, he's earned a lot of money for some prominent people. So people still feel a need to be close to him, or else they would have threw this guy in the trash bin with everybody else who said some just 10% of the craziest things this guy said, but he continues to command attention. His sneakers continue to sell out, and people still want to put him on TV. So we gotta get up on TYT and talk about how out of his mind he is.
Okay, so let's address the fact that his sneakers still continue to sell out, right? Does that say anything about the country?
No, I think it says something about consumer culture and that it's not binded to any of the stuff that you and I care about, being a good person or whatever. Like you go look up some of the stuff that like a brand like Dolce & Gabbana has done in the past when it comes to racism, sexism, all kinds of messed up stuff, and people still want to deal with them, right? Like I just don't think consumer culture is too concerned about who's a good person and who's not. People want to be attached to cool. For whatever reason, people still associate Kanye's products with cool, and so they buy them. I don't know what else to say. People are heartless.
That's fair.
Anna.
That's fair, because literally every brand has something shady tied to it, right?
and I'm not above it either, right? Like I love Nike as much as the next person, and you can look at some of the practices at where they make their products overseas, the working conditions, how much those people might get paid or might not get paid. Like it goes across the board. Apple, you name it. It's just Kanye. He's a lightning rod, and people enjoy it, and they continue to enjoy it.
What I think is interesting about what's transpiring with Kanye, I think the statements he's making, okay, I'm just gonna be honest. I think tying his very clear anti-Semitic statements to his mental health condition is defamatory to others who also have that mental health condition and don't spout hateful anti-Semitic rhetoric.
Sure.
I know that bipolar disorder, and not only do I know, Kanye knows, because he himself has said this publicly. When you're not on your meds, you're not getting the treatment you need, you start having paranoid thoughts. And I just find it fascinating that his paranoid thoughts are deeply anti-Semitic, where he thinks that everything is being controlled by Jewish people. He then goes into like this weird, I'm black and I can't be anti-Semitic because all blacks are Jews. I think that's a reference to this weird fringe group.
Yeah. It's I think it's a reference to like these Eastern African people who we don't need to get into what he's talking about.
I'm not gonna get into it, especially since I don't know.
I don't want to get into that either, but I will say this, and I don't think I'm breaking news here on TYT. I think a lot of prominent black people have Jews on the brain. I really do think so.
Really? Why?
Yeah, there's just an obsession with this idea that Jewish people are clearly people who were oppressed in this country, who have made a way for themselves financially. And a lot of prominent people who are black, when they reach certain echelons, they find that they are surrounded by a lot of Jewish people who are also successful. So I find that a lot of prominent black people are just obsessed with how did Jewish people do this, right? Like, how did Jewish people go from being a legitimately persecuted group of people in this country to not anymore in America? I'm not talking about any other place, but here in America, the Jews have made a way for themselves. And I think prominent black people, just a lot of them, not all of them, are obsessed with the Jewish story here in America and how so many of them could be so successful financially and prominent.
Well, okay, so I want to move on to other parts of the interview that did not air. And this part actually really bothered me because I'm so sick of people who are super wealthy and like they're good, okay? They're not wanting for anything. Turning around and looking at a group of people who are struggling and telling them to basically shut up and get over it. And that's what you get in this next clip, so let's watch.
You know, I was talking to Ice Cube today, and we got really beat up in 2020 for saying we need to approach things a different way and not just be trauma drunk. Right. Which is a term that God just hit me with in the past couple of days. We are no longer trauma drunk. We're no longer trauma drunk, and we're no longer trauma bonding, and we're no longer woke in the sense of what woke is, because woke is just complaining about racism, but not doing anything about it. So what we're gonna do about it is say, hey, you know what? Y'all not gonna send nobody at me based on my opinion. You asked the question before, it drove me crazy to not be able to say that I like Trump.
Okay, so there's two parts of that I want to comment on. I'll start with the last part, which is a smaller part. You say it all the time, and we get to say what we think. Get the F over it. I'm so tired of the constant freaking whining and crying by right-wingers like, we can't say anything without everyone giving us a massive hug and a kiss on the cheek. What's so unfair? We have political views too. I think Trump is a coward, a fraud, and probably wears adult diapers, but presents himself as like this big masculine tough guy. That's what I think about Donald Trump. That'll probably offend a lot of Trump supporters, and they're allowed to be offended. There's no constitutional protection against being offended. I get to be offended, you get to be offended. It's called America. Get the F over it. I like, if you don't like being criticized or countered for your political views, then don't share your political views. But then if you do, don't turn around and cry about it when others disagree with you. I disagree with him, so what?
Yeah, and it's the richest part about Kanye's complaint over there is that literally just 7 years ago, before he got his big deal with Adidas, which by the way, just as a sidebar for people to understand, Kanye's deal with Adidas pays him more in royalties than Michael Jordan makes with Nike, okay? And Michael Jordan's a billionaire off of that deal, okay? So this guy is rich now.
Yeah, but he's such a victim. He's such a victim.
Exactly,
yeah.
But before he got his Adidas deal, he was crying about the high fashion world not embracing him. And he was crying about racism in that world.
Exactly.
That's what he did.
Thank you.
That's what he was doing. He was crying about racism the whole time.
I'm so tired of people who live in their own little elite bubble who don't have to worry about paying their rent. They don't have to worry about their mortgage. They don't have to worry about their kid drowning in student loans. They don't have to worry about any of the stuff that all of us have to worry about. But more importantly, when it comes to an underserved community like black people in America, specifically pointing to them and telling them shut up and get over it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so deeply disturbing how easily people become disconnected from reality, from the communities they come from, the second they're insulated by wealth.
Yeah. And again, like it's instructive. I would encourage people who are listening today to go back and look at some of Kanye's interview. You can look at the Sway interview, because that one went viral. The how Sway, you don't got the answers, et cetera, right? He's literally crying about, I did an internship at Fendi, I did this. Louis Vuitton won't let me run their company. Chanel won't let me do this. Like, he's literally crying about racism affecting his ability to work at high-end fashion house. That's what he was complaining in service of. And so for him to then turn around and be like, well, black people who are marginalized and who are actually marginalized and don't have an opportunity to, hang out with Elon Musk or whatever the hell it is he likes to do, to tell them, oh, you guys are being dramatic. You guys are being dramatic about rent, about a job that could pay you a livable wage, about, child care, et cetera. It's just rich. And that's why I'm not gonna lie, like, I personally, ever since he did that TMZ stunt in 2016 or 17, whenever it was, I've tuned Kanye out. Because I was like, this is a spoof.
Right.
Like, slavery is a choice. Like, at a certain point, there's nothing interesting to say about Kanye. He's saying stupid, hurtful, historically inaccurate stuff, and he's just not gonna stop. And again, like, there are people around him who profit off of him staying this way.
Yep.
And so nobody's gonna step in and be like, yo, Kanye, stop.
That's exactly
He's
right.
a lot of people's meal ticket.
That's exactly
So it's just
right.
gonna continue this way.
So on that point, and this is the final clip, because I think this clip is telling. It's so clear to me that he's being used by the right wing, because what he's about to say is so insane. And no one, I mean, there's a reason why Fox News clipped this part out. They didn't include it in the final product. So let's watch.
I have visions that God gives me just over and over on community building and how to build these free energy, fully kinetic energy communities where we put the least impression on the earth. We're not building the new New York skyline fight, that we are humble in the way that we present ourselves. We've got to rethink who we are as a species.
I'm seeing visions from God, kinetic energy. No, he's lost his mind. And it's very easy to manipulate and use a man who has lost his mind for your own political agenda, which is what the right wing is doing as we speak. And to your point about the people who enable him, all the yes men who surround him, they make money off of him.
Yeah.
So it's pretty gross. And look, we talked about the ramifications of all of this when it comes to the country, because what this does is it like the anti-Semitic stuff. Fine, you want to provide cover for him by saying he has a mental health issue. I disagree with you, but fine, that's okay. You want to do that, cool. But think about what happens immediately after that. You got Candace Owens, you've got the Attorney General of Indiana, you have all of these people lining up to defend his anti-Semitic statements while simultaneously normalizing open, transparent anti-Semitism. And what does that snowball into? We know what that snowballs into. It's incredibly dangerous and it's disgusting. But people got to make their money. So that's what we're doing.
And I do think it's a story as old as time. There's no more useful a tool to the right wing than a non-white person who's willing to spew, grand wizard of the KKK rhetoric. Like, they love that more than anything else. Like, go ahead, black man, talk about how ridiculous these Negroes are and how they're over the top, too emotional, and they need to work hard. And go ahead, spew that to them, black man. We need that. Thank you.
It's so gross.
It's their favorite play out of the playbook. Honestly.
I mean, it's Fox News 101.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. I really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact.
All right, so if you watch that video, you would see that they covered all the bases. I don't understand why people think that, like, everybody's on this like comedian shit, like this Charles White dude. Like, what makes you think that you can say shit about people or say crazy things about people and not get any pushback. Like, you supposed to have freedom of speech to say whatever you want to say, but then when people respond to your insanity, to this craziness that you say, it's a problem. Now we trying to cancel, we trying to silence you. You don't have a voice. Well, Negro, you have a voice, and so do everybody else. Just like you have a right to say what you say, everybody else has a right to say what they say. Now, at the end of the day, like, this dude has had a lot of problems, and I'm gonna try to make this the last time I respond to anything about this dude, because he's just a distraction. There's so much other shit going on in this country, and so many foul things that our government and the Supreme Court is doing that it ain't even funny. And while we paying attention to this clown, they are doing these things. I ain't even gonna say behind our backs. They're doing it in front of our face, and we're just not paying attention. And at the end of the day, just because you rich, that don't mean you're smart or you're intelligent, you're a genius. Kanye is a clown, and okay, he's a billionaire clown. And at the end of the day, he's not happy. And I don't understand that myself. I don't understand myself. He should be living his best life instead of doing all this dumb stuff to make more money. And I say again, how much money do you need? Is it really necessary to throw your people under the bus to make more money, to be a sellout? Like, I know it's profitable being a sellout. Like Waz just said at the end of that segment, they love black men, people that come on that demean and talk foul about other black people. The establishment loves that. MAGA people love that. Racists love that. Conservatives love that. Republicans love that. So when you defend this clown, you're siding with white supremacists, with racists, with people that don't mean our people, our culture, our communities any good. Know that. So you have a right to do and feel however you want, to do whatever you want, to say whatever you want. But realize there's consequences. Freedom of speech ain't free. There's consequences behind what you say and what you do. You have a right to say it, you have a right to do it, but remember, there's always consequences. Y'all have a good day on purpose.